Good morning and welcome to episode 5 of the Ladybug Laboratory podcast. My name is Lily and I will be your host. Today is August 1st, 2016. You can find me on Ravelry as ladybuglily. You can find me on Instagram as ladybug.lily, and there is a Ravelry group for the podcast called the Ladybug Laboratory Podcast Group. So, welcome. Thank you for checking me out. If you're a new viewer, thank you for coming back. If you're a returning viewer, I always forget to say that because I rush over my words because it's the beginning and I'm nervous. A couple of quick things today. I do have a new phone. I just got a new phone last week, so the camera is new. It might come out a little bit differently. I'm not sure how that's going to work, and I'll adjust next week if I need to. Today we've got some on the go, some finished objects. I'm still catching up from the yarn that I got on vacation, and then a couple of other short segments, so let's jump right in. To start with, I am wearing my Inara shawl. If you remember, if you've been watching for a little bit, you remember that I finished this. I find that it's really nice to just sort of throw on in the morning, especially my hair's wet because I just got out of the shower, and so it's not cold, but having a tank top on isn't quite enough, and it's great to sort of throw this on in the morning, and then as it warms up I can take it off and I'm comfortable all day long. So we're gonna jump right in with a on the go or works in progress segment. Alright, so most of my works in progress this week are repeats, but you'll get to see a couple new ones. So first off, in my Dancing Sheep little socks project bag, I have my Farmer Saffron socks. And those of you that saw the podcast last week will notice something interesting about these, namely they're now toe up. And basically what happened there is I was making these socks. I really liked the pattern. In case you can't see, it's like a crisscrossy lattice almost. There we go. And I'm making them for my husband Randall. And he has very weird feet. I think I've talked about this before, but his heels are a lot bigger than the rest of his feet. So I started making them. The pattern calls for them to be cuffed down, and they wouldn't fit over his heel. So I ripped it out, and I did it with, these are size 1.5. I did it with size 2. Still wouldn't fit. So I ripped it out again, and I went up a size, and then they just fell off his leg. So he really liked the pattern. I really liked the pattern and I wanted to figure out a way to make it work. So basically, what I decided to do was do toe up with the medium size, which is the one that, this is the size that he usually uses. He just needs some stretch, and these don't have quite as much stretch because of the crisscrossy aspect of the pattern. So after I do the heel, I'm going to decide, I haven't decided if I'm going to either just keep going and then finish the pattern just up the front, or maybe I'll increase and do a larger size for the pattern but then go back down for the ribbing. I'm not sure. He tends to like his socks to be a little bit tighter fitting on the ankle, which is kind of frustrating because you know, that's exactly the problem that he has. But it's good. He really loves hand knit socks, so I'm hoping that these will be good. These are, the pattern is the Farmer McDonald pattern. It's in the Socktopus book, and I'm using Nerd Girl yarns in their sock base, which is a 75% merino, 25% nylon, and the colorway is Serenity Firefly class. And if you know anything about Firefly, the show, you know what that means. This is supposed to be like, to me it looks like the ship, Serenity, and then sort of the afterburn right at that opening sequence. I absolutely love how this is striping. Look at that. Isn't that so cool? Oh my goodness. So this is basically going to end up being the coolest pair of socks I am knitting at all right now. I'm very excited for these, but I haven't decided what to do. I decided to do a toe-up heel flap, so I'm just working on increasing for the gusset right now. I'm not really sure how that's going to turn out. We'll see. You know what? Worst case scenario, I can frog it, right? So that's the first one. I'm calling them Farmer Saffron because those of you that have seen the show, you know about saffron. And the pattern was Farmer McDonald, so Farmer Saffron, there you go. So that is that work in progress. I also have finished, last time I showed you guys the Oktoberfest raspberry socks. So I finished one of them. And these are also for Randall. They've got this cable down the side, and then on the other side it's just ribbing. Last time I had made it to this progress keeper here. There we go. So I finished up the toe. I actually decided to hold off on making the second one of these because next week I'm going to be on vacation and Randall's not going to be coming with me. And so I thought, well, if I just have socks to make, I won't have his feet to try them on with, but if I have one done, I can just make a pair, and that way I'll have something to work on for knitting. Not that I didn't have other projects to do, but, you know, I thought it would be nice. Oh! Kitty just ran around the corner. I don't think you saw him, but he's there. So yeah, this is my Oktoberfest sock. The pattern is the Oktoberfest Socken. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. I'm using Knit Pick Stroll Brights. The color is Raspberry, and that's 75/25 merino nylon. Very bright. So there it is. Next up, last time I mentioned some yarn that I got, oh my goodness, in Portland was the Hiku by Scasel Sueno in Mud Puddle, and it was a merino and bamboo. And I mentioned that I was going to get it for the campsite cardi. Well, here it is. I actually got a really decent amount done on this. I was very surprised at how quickly it knit up. So I decided to do size 39, even though I really only needed size 35. I transferred 4 stitches from the back and put 2 on each side. So I started the top being smaller, and then I added top being bigger, front being bigger, back being smaller. And then I added 2 stitches to each of the sleeves, but I still, it only calls for you to cast on 4 on the bottom, so I still did that. Kitty? No? Okay. He's a little nervous right now. I'm talking loudly. It's a little bit loose. I mean, I like the way that it fits. It doesn't come quite as far in the front as I want it to, but I'm still going to do the button band. I think it'll be fine. But here, let me just, as I pull it into the front, so this, here you can sort of see, there we go. That's the raglan band, okay? And when I pull it in to like wear it, I mean it's curling right now because I haven't blocked it or anything, but this pulls in like that. So then like it looks very weird. Really weird. Like this is the raglan band. What? So I haven't decided what I'm going to do about that. I like the feel of the bottom. I made it a little shorter than the pattern, but I like the width of that. I think what I'm going to do is start the sleeves, see how much it pulls this together, and if that solves the problem. If not, I'm going to redo the top raglan section, cut this out, and then Kitchener it to the bottom because I like the width here on the bottom. I think that's good. I think I just needed to transfer some more stitches from the back to the front. So we'll see. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work out, but that's where I'm at right now with that. That's kind of on hold until I decide that I have the energy to deal with that, because obviously that's going to be like 4 or 5 hours of just like playing around with things before I can even decide where I'm going to go from there. And then my final work in progress is one that you have seen before, and that is my stained glass blanket. So I decided to put Progress Keepers on the ones that were new instead of the ones that I had already shown you, because I figured as I go further along that's going to make more sense. So over the past 2 weeks I've only done 3. Okay, and that's these 3 with the little progress creepers hanging off of them. You can see it's sort of turning into like a pyramid. So I did this one, and that was the Lothlorien yarn, and if you've been watching you'll recognize that this was from my Gallifrey Sunset shawl. Then I did this one, which was Ginger Snap, and that is actually the browns from my Inara shawl. I did 2 rows of the darkest, 2 rows, 2 rows, 2 rows, and then I did 4 rows of the lightest, and then 2 rows, 2 rows, 2 rows, and I think I ended up doing 3 at the end of the very darkest, but I'm really proud of that one. It was a ridiculous amount of ends to weave in, I'm not gonna lie. And I have enough yarn left that I could potentially do one in the opposite direction with like light on the outside and dark in the middle. And then of course I have all my green scraps. I'm not even gonna touch that for a while because number 1, I don't want to put them right next to each other. But number 2, I don't want to deal with all those ends again. And then this last one is Fleur de Couleur, and it was a Socks That Rock lightweight skein. And that's the same yarn that I did my summer socks out of, the Portland plaid ones. And each of those, I have maybe 3 or 4 hanks of that. And each of them came with like a little tiny emergency darning skein, and I weighed it, and it was about 3 grams, and I've used about 3 grams on these. So I wanted to know, well, can I make a whole square out of that? The answer is an unabashed, unashamed no. So I start at the bottom here and I go up and decrease, right? This progress keeper, that's how far I made it with the little fixing skein. Yeah, so this is definitely a heavier yarn than what I used for my other ones, but I don't think that was really 3 grams. I don't know what the deal is. That was like not even a third of it. Yeah, so I hadn't used that skein for anything else. I just pulled from the end of the skein, and it's fine. I mean, it's not like I'm gonna run out. But that's what I was trying to figure out. So this triangle, I really wanted to finish it up before this podcast. There's only 2 left, one here and then one there. But it just wasn't going to happen. And part of the reason it's not happening is because I don't have scraps. I don't have any more scraps to put in. I have other scraps that are brown and green, and there's a ton of browns and greens in this already. So I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to put it on hold for now and add scraps as I get them, but I don't know when that's going to be. I'm not going to push myself to do it. I love working on this, and it's so quick to just do a square. And I figure once I get this triangle done, I'll just start on a second triangle, and then eventually I'll be able to fill in sort of this reverse triangle as I seam them together. Some people have asked me why I haven't been doing like the block that would go here, and the reason is because I would pick up these stitches, there we go, the block that would go here. I would pick up these stitches on the yellow, and then those stitches on whatever would come off of the pink. Right, so in order to do that, I would need to do whatever's coming off of the pink, which means I would need to do the one that's next to the pink. So basically that's the way that it works, is you have to sort of go up in a triangle, and then like once I add another one on the bottom here, then I can do this one and this one and that one and that one all the way up. So I want to finish this triangle. I don't know when it's going to happen. That is my goal. So those are all of my works in progress for the week. And moving on, we're going to talk about some things that are off the go, some finished objects. So finished objects this week are kind of boring. I don't have very many. And basically I reached a point where I was like, I want to finish something, I want to finish something, I don't know what. So I made 2 little facial scrubbies. This is the first one that I did. I did them both in Le Debbie Bliss cotton, just some random scraps that I had. And this one is the reusable cotton facial pad, cotton facial, I'm not sure, something. It's free on Ravelry. It's by Ashley Ludlow, and it's soft. I like it. And then this one is the cotton face pad, also free on Ravelry. It's Alex from You Should Craft, and basically the difference between the two is that one has a single crochet on the outside. I think this one looks a little bit more refined, but having that ridge there isn't going to make it more useful for me, and it just took extra time. And I do use these all the time, so I'm thinking I'm probably just going to go more with something like this. But I'm not sure. And then the other one that I made, that's two of my finished objects, is I made a sponge, and I've already used this, so it looks a little bit gross. I'm warning you ahead of time. So this is a sponge, okay? And that's a free pattern on Ravelry. It's the Kitchen Sponge pattern by the Book People Studio. Also use Debbie Bliss cotton. And basically it's got 3 layers. So you start with like single crochets in green, okay? And then I did a layer of this yellow, more single crochets. Single crochets. And then you do like this ridgy one, and you just seam it up so that like you fold it in thirds and seam it up. It's not as useful as I thought it was going to be. It kind of gets waterlogged a little bit, but I'm really looking for some things that I can use in the kitchen because I go through sponges all the time and they're gross and I have to throw them out all the time, and I just want something that I can just throw in the wash and not have to deal with. So I'm not sure. It's really heavy. Like, it gets heavy with water. We'll see. I'm gonna keep trying it, and then if it doesn't really work, I'm gonna try something else. Maybe I need to use a different yarn or what, I don't know. But those are my 3 finished objects for the week. I think maybe the cotton is more suitable for things like this, and I'm gonna have to use something else for scrubbing. I'm not sure. If you have done that, if you have made any sort of scrubbing thing for dishes, please, please, please let me know, because I'm always looking for suggestions. I don't like dishcloths. They're floppy and they get on my hands and I hate it. I want like a sponge. But I hate buying sponges all the time, and anyway, let me know. Please let me know if you've done something like that before. I'm way open to suggestions. But that's it really for this week, is these 2 weeks. 2 weeks is these 3. And the funny thing is I have so much time to knit right now because it's the summer and I'm not at work, and yeah. So, enough of that. Let's move on to On the Table. Okay, so next up is On the Table, which is where I talk about my sewing. I have been sewing this week. I still had my class, and so I've been working on my Miss Frizzle dress, which is the one with the books and the words. I'm getting pretty close. I don't think I'm going to finish this week in class, but probably next week. I've also been working on the quilt top, but that's been mostly like 2 stacks of pieces, and I've just been grabbing and seaming as time allows. Nothing that I can really show yet. Potentially, probably by the end of the summer, I will have something that I can show for both of those. That's my goal. And then the other one that I'm going to do quickly is on the frame, which is where I talk about stitching. So this is my winter sampler. There we go. And this is the winter sampler by Teresa Wentzler. And I've already done summer and autumn. We talked last time about how she actually started with autumn, and that's the simplest one, and then they get progressively more complex, but I didn't realize that. And I started with summer, which is the most complex, and then went to autumn. So I'm sort of building back up to spring. My goal was to get summer and autumn done in 2015 so I could get winter and spring in 2016. Obviously I'm not actually keeping in the seasons because we have finished both winter and spring of 2016, but I'm still hoping to get it done in the year. So last time that I showed this to you, this whole side was done. This detail was done. And this was done. I think. This might have been almost done. So since then, I've done the top row here, which is cut work, and there's beads in between. This is not focusing very well. I've stitched winter, and then I've done 2 rows here. I've done these holly branches. I still need to put beads for the holly beads, obviously. And then this cut work section. And I did all of this, and I outlined the start of my over 1 section. Now the over 1, those of you that cross stitch, is like half size, and it's tiny, and it's ridiculously difficult. So let me just zoom in for you a little bit, if I can. Yeah, it's not really focusing. The over 1 it ends up being a quarter size because normally you go over 2, so yeah. Anyway, it's tiny. So this is going to be like an ice skating scene here. I don't know if I'm going to finish this by the end of the summer, but I'm hoping. Yeah, because, you know, I like it. This is something that I work on a lot when I'm not working because it uses a little bit more brain power than other things. So yeah, that is on the table and on the frame. Another quick thing that I want to add in for this week is I stopped by Michael's and got some just gator clips. So I can make myself some progress keepers because I was running out and I had a lot of stitch markers that I didn't really use as stitch markers, like this one, which is adorable. First of all, it's adorable. Let's see. There we go. It's got a little llama. So I just added a gator clip to it to make it a progress keeper. I don't generally use the dangly ones so much as stitch markers, so it was good to make them progress keepers. So I'm just going to show those to you super quickly. It was really basic. I just took some pliers and, you know, did it. But I've got these 2. And these 2. And then I made a whole bunch with these orange and blue beads that I got while I was at Michael's. Oh my gosh, it's so not focusing. Maybe. There we go. Maybe. Well, you get the idea. They're just stitch markers. I mean, progress keepers. It's not a big deal. But yeah, I whipped up probably about a dozen of those for myself, which was really good because I only had 1 progress keeper before that. So that was nice. So from here on out, we're going to have mail call, knit along news, and then prattle. If you don't want to stick around for those, you don't have to. Thank you very much for joining in. I will announce this a little bit again later, but basically I'm not sure when I'm going to podcast next. It's either going to be 1 week from now or 3 weeks, depending on the schedule, because 2 weeks from now I'm out of town. So I'm either going to squeeze one in next week or you're just going to have to wait 3 weeks. But thank you for joining me, and if you liked, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. Have a good day. Okay, and for those of you that stayed, we're moving on to mail call, which is my stash acquisitions section. We are still going through things that I got on my vacation because I have no self-control. That's basically what it is. So, first up, these are both Black Trillium Fiber Studios yarns, and shoot, I can't remember the name of the store that I got them at. It was in Portland. I'll put it in the down bar. But this one is Silken lace. It's undyed. And it is 85% superwash merino, 15% mulberry silk. It's 200 grams and 1,450 yards, 1,450 yards. It's beautiful. It's undyed. I love it. I'm going to make myself, there's formal events that I go to about once a year where you have to wear all white for one of the nights. So I'm going to make myself like a nice formal shawl beaded with this. Very excited. And then the other one was also 75% merino, 25% nylon this time. And that's their Merilon sock base, also Black Trillium Fiber Studios. and it was Decay. And the colors aren't coming across quite as well on the camera. It's got these sort of like browny reds and this tealy green and these yellows. And basically this is for, I have a blanket, and every location that I go to, I get a hank of yarn, and I make a square to represent that location. So this is for the Portland square, and I'm pretty excited about it. I know I already talked about the Cape Cod square, but this is going to be my Portland square. A friend of mine who lives in Portland helped pick this out, and this is basically, it looks like the trees. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I love it, and I'm almost more excited to use the yarn afterward for something else. But I really love this yarn. So those are my stash acquisitions. That leaves us with knit-along news. Sorry about that, my battery died, so I had to go plug my phone in. On that note, let's keep going. So for the knit-along segment, I'm going to start with 50 Points for Gryffindor, which is from KT of Inside Number 23. She started it, and the concept is basically that you give yourself positive points every time that you complete a project, depending on how big the project is, how intense it is, a variety of other things, and you subtract points every time that you buy yarn. And my goal was to get to 50 points by the end of the year. So all told, positive points. I'm not doing so great. So last time that I talked to you guys, I was at negative 100, and basically I'd gotten myself down to negative 90, and then I got yarn, new yarn, because I realized that I needed more of a certain amount of yarn for my Plum Frost sweater, which you didn't see this week because I can't figure out what to do about the fact that they're different dye lots. We'll go back to that. So that brought me back up to negative 100. So as of today, I have made it back down to negative 90, and basically that was with the 3 squares on my blanket and the various scrubbies and sponges that I made. That, all told, was about 10 points. So, you know, progress. I'm definitely going to go down a bunch more when I finish Campside and the 2 socks that I'm working on and stuff like that. But, you know, it's good. It's good. It'll be fine. I'm going to let it be. Okay, and then the other one was the Glasgow Subway Knit-Along, which is hosted by Eva of Eva Christie Handknitting. And the concept is you add up all of the meterage of everything that you knit, crochet, whatever, and you try in meters to get around the Glasgow Subway by the end of the year. It started on June 1st. So last time that I talked to you guys, I was at Ebrox, and I was at 1702. That was my total, and I needed to get to 2075 in order to move to the next station, which was Govan. So, since I talked to you, I added in all of the meterage from my sock, and as of last time, I mean, I was here, but I hadn't added this in yet, because I didn't want to add it in until the sock was finished. So I added all the meterage from the sock. I also added the sponges, scrubbies, and the squares that I did, and then I also added the meterage from the body section of my Campside sweater. And I really was a little bit conflicted about that because I don't really like adding things until they're done, but I figured I had added 1 sock and I didn't have a pair, so why not do this? This is a good stopping point. And even if I do go back and redo the top section, then at the end of the day, I figure out the meterage by weighing it. So at the end of the day, after I finish it, I'm going to weigh it again, and it's not like I'm going to be getting double credit for something. So it'll be fine. It'll be fine. But that brought me up to 24.97, which was more than I needed. So I am now at Govan, which is the next stop. I will probably be there until I finish Campside Cardi and both of those pairs of socks, because I need to get to 29.65 in order to get to Partick, which is the next one. I'm pretty happy with my progress so far. I think I'll probably be able to make it around by the end of the year. I'm hoping. I'm pretty close. But I'm also starting another knit along with Eva of Eva Christie Handknitting, and that is the I can't say it. Tessa Bill. It's a book. Basically the idea is that you read the book, you know what? I'm not even going to try. I'm going to put it in the down bar. You could do it yourself. Go watch her podcast. She says it. Basically you need a Sonntag, which is a Dutch traditional, sort of like a shawl construction, where it's got a piece that goes up the back and then two pieces that it sort of forks in the middle, and the two pieces come around your shoulders and they cross across your breasts, and then they sort of cover your torso and tie again in the back. I am making it for my mother-in-law, and she requested a Sonntag for Christmas last year. Well, she requested it last year at Christmas. So, and the reason for that is because she works at a working historical farm, and so she does a lot of tours there in historical garb, and it's mostly during the summer, but they have sort of like a candlelit holiday event in early December every year, and she's in upstate New York, so it's cold. So now she's in this historical clothing that's made for the summer, and it's cold. And somebody she saw was wearing one. She said, "Oh, what is that?" And she sent me a whole bunch of stuff about it and was like, "I would love one of these." So I have Miss Babs Yowza, and it's like a light worsted. It says that it's worsted, but it's definitely light worsted, maybe like a DK. And it's really soft. I like it. It's theoretically machine washable. I've used their espresso, and it bled a little bit when I washed it, but we'll see. I'm hoping this is gonna work really well. I'm not 100% sure that it's gonna match her costume, but it was the best that they had. And you know what? It's not the end of the world. If it matches one and not the other, she can wear the one that it matches at the one candlelight event. But I'm really excited about this because I get to read a book and I get to knit this along with other people. So it was really well timed. I encourage you to do this. I find, construction-wise, that my favorite way to wear a shawl is something like this. It's warm and it's cozy and it's perfect for, just puttering around the house. I'm considering making one for myself, actually, but that is not going to be this year. That is going to be later. But for Eva's Knit Along, basically you have to read the book and you have to complete your Sonntag. It started on the 1st, which was yesterday, and it goes for 6 weeks. So I'm really excited. I'm also going to enter this in the Ravelinics, basically the Olympics on Ravelry. So I'm excited for that. And that brings me to the end of my knit along news. This is another point at which I'm sure people sort of tune out. So again, if you stayed this long, thank you for listening, and have a fantastic, fantastic day. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Otherwise, I'm going to move straight along to Prattle. Okay, Prattle. That's where I talk about my life. My life has been boring for 2 weeks. I've been doing a lot of paperwork, and I've been taking my classes. I have to take a couple of more certification classes to keep my teaching certification up. So I'm going to start those in the fall, and I'm not excited about that because the beginning of the year is always the most stressful part of the year. But I had to do it, so that's what it is. As we're getting closer and closer to the school year starting again, I'm getting more and more stressed, which is just the way it is, I guess. Oh, my kitty, Bodhi's doing better. Last time I know that I talked to you guys, and he was okay. He'd been on the bed a couple of times. He was getting better. He's so much better. He's so much better. He cuddles with us every night, and he's adorable. He's up here by 8 o'clock every night meowing that we're not petting him. Very cute. And I am still very frustrated by my Plum Frost cardigan. So if you remember, basically the situation is that I realized I needed more yarn than I had purchased. So I got 2 more skeins for the backdrop color. And they're not the same dye lot. I got a couple suggestions from people at my knitting group and on my IRC channel, and basically what I've decided to do is use the new dye lot for like the cuffs, and then maybe sort of fade it in from the bottom so that the yoked section is still using the old one. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. If you have any thoughts or suggestions, please let me know. We'll see how that works. But because of that, I did totally frog it. I'm starting over again. But yeah, so plans for the next few weeks. Hopefully this weekend, Randall and I are going to go either camping or on a hike. We're not sure. And then next week after that, so Randall is going to go on to a conference for work, and he leaves on Tuesday, I believe, and he gets back Saturday night. I am going to my family's family reunion on Friday, and I get back Tuesday. And he's actually not going to go on the family reunion with us because it's not in a convenient flying location. So if he were to get there, he would get there maybe Sunday morning, and maybe Sunday afternoon. He'd have about 24 hours before we flew out again, and it just wasn't worth it for him to fly all the way out, especially because by the time he gets there, most of the family is going to be gone. So I mean, it really wasn't worth it. Fly all the way across the country for something like that. But I'm really excited about my family reunion. A couple of families are coming that haven't been in 5 years maybe, so that'll be really nice to see them again. But yeah, after that, get back, and I'll probably be able to podcast again, and then the school year starts, which I'm already having teacher nightmares. But I love my job. I really do. I love my job very, very much. It's very stressful, especially at the beginning of the year. But yeah, so anyway, that's what's going on with me. If you do have any suggestions, either about the sweater, or what was the other thing I needed suggestions for? I don't remember. I asked for suggestions for something. If you have suggestions for any of the things that I've asked for suggestions for, please let me know. I would love to know what you thought. If you have if you're going to make a sun tag, I'd love to know. I'd love to know. So thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you guys either in a week or in 3 weeks. Have a fantastic, fantastic day, and I'll see you later. Bye!